Coming up on Talk is Cheap, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the Aztec UFO crash of 1948. It's known by others as the other Roswell. Up next on Talk is Cheap.
You're not racist.
Welcome to Talk is Cheap, ladies and gentlemen, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. This is episode 152. And a big thanks to all those listening on the audio podcast, maybe the new home of Talk is Cheap.
Shake your butt.
And with me is Shake Your Butt.
Dan's giving me control of the soundboard. That's great.
Right?
Yeah,
Which-
it is, man.
which could be disastrous.
Yeah, Pete Hobleib here. Talk is cheap. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Pretty good, huh?
And I did actually dial the camera down on the wide shot. We look a little bit better. I must have adjusted it for my review out here, and it was messed up.
Dan, you always look good, man. That's the thing. Look at you, just sporting the coat and the.
I figured I'd bring the
t-shirt.
sport coat back. It's been a while, you know.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
using it for the last couple episodes now. So.
Yeah, you're looking good. Looking good.
That's the whole goal.
So today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, we are covering the Aztec UFO crash. This happened in 1948. This was suggested by Michael Landsman, my go-to man for topics.
Michael, good job, man.
There we go.
So this is pretty big. A lot of this information I'm going to be talking about today. We're talking some of this stuff coming from Richard Dolan and Tracy Dolan. Their video is going to be in a description. They've got the accounts from some of this came from the book Behind Flying Saucers, The Truth About the Aztec UFO Crash by Frank Scully. We also got Scott and Suzanne Ramsey, who did extensive research interviewing witnesses and documents. And they spent lots of money and even around $500,000 to keep this research going, which is a hell of a lot
Yeah, that's a lot of money, Dan.
to throw at this. All right, so let's start this bitch off here. So it's come to known as the other Roswell. Now you're talking, this is just a few months after the 1947 Roswell crash. And this...
So the UFOs had a really rough run in the late 40s, man.
I wonder why that was.
Yeah, right. Well, radar invented, right? And
Yeah.
nuclear testing.
I love this.
So allegedly a flying saucer crashed in Aztec, New Mexico in March of 1948. This is about 12 miles northeast of Aztec. It was in the Hart Canyon Mesa, and it was supposed to be before 5 a.m. this happened.
So New Mexico on top of it. 2 in New Mexico. That's that radar installation down
And that's
there
what,
knocking
yeah,
them
that's
out.
exactly what they say in here is that allegedly the radar has brought them down.
That was what supposedly put the Roswell crash down too. Awesome. Cool.
So coincidence?
Oh my goodness.
I think not.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy coincidence. Man.
So there's a lot of accounts here, and there's actually a few different sides to the story. So I'm just going to give you a kind of a straight line run of it, and there might be some discrepancies. So there is this account saying that 2 policemen seen this craft. They seen it wobbling, and then a rancher seen this craft go over his property, hit a cliff, and it kept going. He called Curlin Air Force Base, and that's what sent the Army and shit out there. Now, some oil field workers went to check this out because they actually had oil rigs in the area.
Okay.
And then they thought maybe one of them was burning, and it's like, oh shit, we better get out there and fix this.
I would do the same.
So these guys were about between 18 and 19 years old. And well, they're probably a little bit more mature back then. But
Yeah, in 47, 18, and 19-year-olds, we're definitely much more manly than our 18 and 19-year-olds today.
That means I'm a lady with lots of facial hair.
yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
So this crash had 16 humanoid bodies, dark brownish skin. They looked charred or burned. Now these were from 3 to 3.5 feet tall.
That lines up with the Roswell account too. There, that the height.
Yeah, but there's an issue because these weren't grays.
Well, if they were,
which is interesting because there's actually, we're going to look at some pictures, and these pictures are going to show that they're grays. So there's two different counts. One count saying that they're grays and one
well,
isn't.
think about it though. If you're subjected to fire and smoke and ash, that could char your body. Think of a nice smoked chicken.
That's where they're saying the char probably came from, was the fire.
Yeah, right. Which would change.
But then again,
you think that it would change the color of the skin.
That doesn't make sense because we'll get into it.
Okay,
but
okay.
The inside was kind of preserved. The clothing they wore was dark blue, tight, form-fitting. We always hear form-fitting clothing on them. There was no insignia on the clothes, and people described them as childlike beings. They had perfect teeth, which is interesting.
Which you don't hear a ton about the teeth on aliens, do you?
You do not. So if they were grays, that's not right.
Yeah, and do we recall, Dan, the Roswell crash? Has anybody made any count of clothing they were wearing at all? I don't. It doesn't.
I think they might have said it was tight gray.
Okay,
clothing.
yeah. It doesn't jump out at me as something that I really recall that the Roswell crash talked about clothing, but maybe I forget all sorts.
There
of
wasn't
stuff
much
all the time.
information with the Roswell crash, and that was the problem. Here we got a lot more witnesses.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And when you start stacking the witnesses up, that's a good thing.
So this whole craft, after it was all said and done, it was recovered by the military, and it was taken to an unnamed research lab.
Surprise.
To be studied. Military told witnesses to never speak about this again. Proper protocol there,
All fake.
The craft itself, this is very interesting, was 99.9 feet in diameter. Not 199.9.
Interesting.
It was the largest UFO to date. It measured 18 feet tall. It had a dome on top, dome on the bottom. And again,
it housed 16 beings in it, which is more than Roswell as well.
Would they say 4 in Roswell?
I think 4 or 5, yeah.
And
not 16, not anywhere near 16.
It was alleged to have come from Venus, and we've heard of the Venetians before.
Yes, we have.
And one of the accounts is interesting because they said they've seen...
How did they know it came from Venus?
That's the thing. It's like, how much do these witnesses know? Did they...
Some guy was like, I bet you it came from Venus. And then suddenly it came from Venus,
Yeah. There could be a lot dug into this. But
That's
again,
taken out of context.
You got a lot of stories here. One guy claimed to have seen CDs, and this is interesting to me. CDs like your DVDs or your audio CDs that we used to use, we don't use anymore, really.
Yeah, which is weird.
Why would aliens
have CDs?
Yeah, that's what really strikes me because we're going all solid state.
Maybe just the radiation in space messes with digital or something, right?
Man, yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't that affect their navigation?
You'd think, right? I would think that our International Space Station's running on digital and GPS and stuff by now, right?
Yeah, I think it's all.
That's interesting, but if true, I would like to see some like old documents from 47, 48 that talks about these, cylindrical, discs. I mean, the term compact disc didn't come around for decades after this, right? So anyway.
Yeah, this was before we knew what CDs were.
Yeah, and so maybe the CD, and I'll air quote it, maybe that it was a completely different mechanism or tool or
it could have been
equipment,
anything.
right? Yeah, it could have been the gyroscopic balancers or
that's
who
a good
knows,
point.
right?
Yeah. It's a real good
It doesn't
point.
necessarily need to contain data on it.
So let's look at some of these pictures. I'll bring them on screen here.
Yes, please do. This is the good stuff.
So I got these from Richard Dolan's presentation. I'm linking that video in the description if you want to watch it. He put these on screen. This drawing was by Michael Stratt.
Heart Canyon.
Yep. So we got the whole craft here, and it's showing the top view of it, and then we also got the side view here down below. Again,
your standard UFO, right? I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Dome on top. It's got the portholes, all that stuff. And then we have a little more illustrated one here. And this is
like a computer generated model of the craft.
This is supposed to be the oil riggers looking inside of it.
Oh, so they climbed right on top of it?
Yeah, because again, back then, like they didn't know about really the whole alien thing. It was more of a curiosity.
Yeah.
Where now, if like we see a crash UFO, we're gonna be like, okay, there could be aliens on there, whatever. We've
seen enough movies to know that bad stuff could come out of that, so we're gonna give it some room.
They were actually thinking like this could be one of our military things, and they're looking to make sure everybody's all right on that plane crash or whatever the hell they thought it could have been. So we got
because we are fresh off of World War II, right? And if you remember, the Nazis allegedly had flying discs. They were testing flying discs. Both America and the Nazis were testing flying discs back then too.
So this is a fire pole they took and poked it through the glass.
Pike pole, yeah. Okay.
Because remember now, they're oil riggers. They got to put fires out. They're gonna have like a fire pole and stuff.
Yeah.
To do
Pike
this.
poles and just even to handle the stuff they got. Okay, so I'm gonna just stop here. And what alien craft that travels in space has a glass dome a human can poke a stick through?
We don't know what kind of force they use to poke those through. I mean,
or when it's operating, there's some sort of protective shield around it, right? Some sort of plasma bubble or something when it's functioning properly and not crashed, right?
Well, you're talking about if you're in space, you're going to have issues with. So you're not issues of stuff flying into the glass. Is that what you're saying?
Well, in general, like, I mean, there's like, for a couple of oil riggers to take a pike pole and just be like, hey, what's this? And then punch it through.
But you got to think too, though, that spacecrafts can have a field around them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, was there some sort of energy field or something that would protect it when it was operating and fired up? Right?
Yeah.
So
and they need a hole to look out.
Yeah, you need something to look out. Yeah, you need something, right? Or are there like microscopic cameras? Who knows? We're speculating. Okay, so
allegedly with this, they had this fire pole they stuck through. This is what happened where they were able to stick that in there and they jammed and they hit like a button or a lever that actually opened up the staircase and so you could get into it.
Like they jimmied it like a coat hanger on a car that you've locked your keys in.
Yeah, that'd be, and you don't like this is alien, so it's like you really don't know what the hell you're.
God, that's pretty
hitting,
ballsy. Just start poking in there, but back then, why not, right?
Oh my goodness.
Now this, you would think that this is part of the same one, but I guess this was the other side of the story where the police officers there looking through the window and that they hit a tree branch.
Yeah.
So this is
or would that police officer see the pike pole thinking it was a tree branch?
I don't know, man. This is the problem.
The stories don't line up, but Dan, I'm going to say that if you have some sort of event and you witness and you have 50 witnesses and you interview those 50 witnesses, there will be 50 different accounts to the story.
That's true. Variations.
Yep. And think of it too. You're a police officer in 1948 and you look in this craft's window and you see dead alien bodies. Do you think that your mind and your body is functioning normally? No, you've got adrenaline going through. You've got all this crazy stuff. And when was War of the Worlds?
I got to wonder if you were never exposed to aliens, the idea of aliens, a lot of these people weren't. What would your first reaction be? I don't know if it would be necessarily fear. We get that because the movies. It's like, because it's an unknown, but I think a lot more people in the older days were more grounded and would have been all right with it.
In 1898, the book War of the Worlds came out.
Okay, yeah, but how many people?
1897.
How many people actually read it? So.
It was published in hardcover 1898. So I'm just saying, in before 1900, War of the Worlds, the idea of flying saucers was already out there. When did it?
Well, that's right. And then
show?
I'm trying to think of when what's his name did that broadcast on the audio War of the Worlds. It was wasn't it Orson Welles?
Yeah, it was Orson Welles, and I'm trying to think.
The French champagne.
The French champagne.
has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson.
1938. So this is 10 years after the radio show of War of the Worlds, which caused like a national pandemic.
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
you know?
All right. I'll give you that.
So I would say that, you know, not everybody, but the concept was out there. Okay. So anyway, I apologize.
Okay. So we got another one here of the interior. Again, illustration. This one's done by Tom Bogan. Again, future alien style interface, touch surface here for controls.
You know, and that's what's really interesting here. This isn't the cheesy 1940s, 1950s alien space stuff you saw in the movies, right? With the big compartments
boxes
on the wall with lights flashing,
Yeah.
you know,
Ding,
and like
ding,
little, yeah, right. No, this is like pretty state of the
Prince
art
of
stuff.
Space.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty state of the art stuff by 1948, but even by our own comparison, today's comparison.
And then, yeah. So basically, yeah, it was a nice.
It comes with the hieroglyphs on
Domed
the
roof.
walls.
Yeah, the hieroglyphs are here is what's important because they'll draw your attention to this. And we got a close up here. These were actually floating off the wall.
So holographic.
Yeah. So
That makes sense.
and we're getting there.
Yeah. Actually, I know that we're very, very close.
I guess this was
Look at
actually.
the dude peeking in the window. That's too funny.
I guess this was actually kind of, from what I told, like pretty accurate of what the account was. So like.
Of course, the hieroglyphs we're seeing here in this illustration are probably not the hieroglyphs that
I'm guessing they're
actually
pretty
appear.
similar. Because that, from what I understood, this was pretty close. Again, you'd have to have kind of a photographic memory, because obviously,
Yeah. There wasn't like not everybody had a cell phone and a camera. So why is it that the futuristic aliens have hieroglyphs and we, as a species on this planet, have, you know, for thousands of years gone away from that?
we're going back. It's called emojis.
Oh, mind blown, Dan. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yep. And then it'll just carry on, and we'll lose our language. So that'll be it.
You think of text speak, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Dude. I need to find the right button to push here.
Oh my goodness.
So
I love this.
So here's a shot of when they're taking the bodies out. Now we got the police sheriffs here. We have the military.
Dragon and the priest to give
The priest story
giving
here is
the
interesting
final
because
rites.
what the priest did was he was in the area. He saw these people gathering up there. Mm-hmm. He actually just drove up there on his own.
He just saw
it.
it.
He was like, what's going on? He drove up there. He's like, is there anything I can do? And I believe it was one of the police sheriffs that said, yeah, you can.
We need to get Jesus involved here,
Yeah,
man.
it was more
And-
about like say a prayer for these bodies. Is what it was.
and protect us from the hell that may be released on us, right? Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, they got the blankets laid out and they're laying the bodies on them. And right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
10
11.
they show, right? 11?
Just did a real quick count.
Yeah, I got 11.
Okay, and then there's supposed to be 16 total, so there's
Well,
still more.
it's a computer-generated illustration done decades later.
Well,
so,
there's probably still some in the craft.
yeah.
So this is just showing as we go through. Okay, so let's get back to.
I don't want to jump ahead, but did you were you able to find any like newspaper articles or other like file footage of wreckage or anything like we had Roswell? We have the guy holding the weather balloon and stuff, but
I'm going to show one thing that's on the FBI website. We'll talk about that. But as far as more like evidence, like Scott and Susan Ramsey, the ones that spent $500,000, they used to have a website, but now it's not there anymore. So
what?
I don't know why they wouldn't have just paid the whatever $30 a year if they spent $500,000.
And what's her name?
You would have assumed Scott and Susan Ramsey,
Scott
Ramsy.
SY.
That you would have think that website would have been about an archive of all this stuff,
right,
and they
right.
did a lot of it. And he was obsessed with this crash. And you could still he does videos. Richard Dolan interviewed him, and I was listening to him on there.
cool.
So, all right. So after the crash, it was taken to Los Alamos laboratories there in New Mexico, and then later rumored to go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio.
Funny how Wright-Patterson keeps coming up in our conversations with aliens and UFOs.
One spot, number one spot to work, man.
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder if they need a safety guy.
You just want to sneak into Hangar 18 there and hopefully not get in trouble. So what gives this whole story kind of a bad taste? There's more evidence I want to get into yet. So hang on, guys. But I want to talk about the hoax side of this. In the late 1940s and the early 50s, you had Silas Newton and Leo Gibar. Now, they were selling devices known as doodle bugs, and they claimed these devices could find oil, gas, and gold. And claiming they recovered this from this alien crash. They charged
a doodle bug?
A doodle bug.
Okay.
I wish I could show you a picture, but I tried looking and I couldn't really get like, oh, this is a doodle bug. So they were charging $18,500 for a tuner, and I think about it, way back then, that's a lot of money.
Oh God, that's a pile of money.
But this could actually be bought at a surplus store for around $350 at the time. J.P. Kahn of the San Francisco Chronicle asked for a piece, and then it actually turned out to be ordinary aluminum. So this is what gave it the bad taste, is because you got these two guys doing this. So a lot of people, when they heard about this crash, they wrote it off because of this.
Yeah, you know, Dan, you and I have for for a long time, always looked to see where the people are trying to profit from it, right?
Yeah.
And that takes away from some of their credibility. And here's a good, if they're charging 18 grand for something you can get for $4 at a surplus store, okay. Eesh. But if you spent $500,000 of your own money, right? You know.
So I want to go ahead and show the Google Maps here of where this crash took place. So again, I'll back out here. So we got Aztec. Let me go to the regular map so it's a little bit better.
Ooh, they're still doing events. Contact in the Desert on 2017. Scott and Susan Ramsey.
Contact in the Desert this year?
2017.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say. Okay.
Ooh, it's an audio book too, FYI.
Oh, yeah. I thought about getting that one. Got Aztec here, UFO crash up here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on it, get the satellite view, bring it down. Now,
oh, this might be interesting, huh?
Let's see here. Where is that spot? Okay, I see it already. Let's go 3D. So we can see we're on a cliff here.
Yeah.
There's actually they put this alien head thing here. People did just for the hell of it.
Yeah, right.
Out of rock. That's actually right here.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy, huh? That's awesome, dude.
So Scott and Susan Ramsey actually put a plaque up there. Okay, it says, recovered at Hart Canyon. On or about this site on March 25th, 1948, a spacecraft of origins unknown crashed or landed on this mesa. It is alleged the Los Alamos radar station in nearby El Vano, New Mexico, tracked the errant landing to the site. A high-security recovery operation led by the Air Force and 5th Army Division was responsible for the removal of this craft. The recovery operation took approximately 2 weeks, with all remains being taken to Los Alamos Laboratory for scientific study and evaluation by some of the world's leading scientists. Later, it was rumored to have been taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. The recovery of this craft by the U.S. government and military, one of the world's most secretive recoveries of this spacecraft with origins unknown since similar recoveries in Roswell, New Mexico, 8 months earlier. The spacecraft was approximately 100 feet in diameter and 18 feet tall. It was one of the most intact crafts that the government had recovered at that time. Sadly, all occupants, as many as 16, died as a result of this crash, making the full disclosure of both purpose and origin all but impossible. And again, it just says the plaque's been put here to commemorate this crash. So, yeah, there's one thing here with the Aztec. When I searched, this came up. So they actually have, like, if you go to the city of Aztec, I suppose there's you can go see the crash here, and they give you the directions.
Just like Roswell, they're gonna cash in on the publicity in the tourism, right? Is there any, like, did you come across any sort of, ground disturbance pictures or anything like that?
There's an interesting thing here I want to talk about, but I guess we'll just get to it. Yeah, so the road. This was older.
Yeah.
This was from
Not
one
much
of
of a road there.
This is from one of Scott Ramsey's lectures.
Yeah, that looks like an original photo there,
And
man.
because I looked on the radar, the GPS, Google Maps,
There you go. You got it.
and
And I've been the one drinking, Dan. So, that's awesome. Dude, isn't Google Maps nuts?
there's not really any I'm wondering if this dot is exactly where they think it was, because they obviously have the statue back here farther, and I can't really tell where the plaque is, by the way, but there's a biking trail right here
Yeah, I can see some trails going through
that goes through there.
Back then too, the government could have come out with bulldozers and just smoothed it all out.
That's what they said they did when they made this, because there was no reason for them to actually have a road there going up there.
So they made
Because
a road.
it actually just looped back around anyway.
Because they made a road to get to the site, and then of course
So they could
cover
extract it. Now let's talk about the extracting part.
See, go back to that Google thing. You see in that lower right there, go down to the right from the red pin there, and you see all of that there. That to me is peculiar. That's a little bit. You see how it's all light colored, looks almost like eroded and stuff there. The bike trail kind of goes through that.
Yeah.
It just looks a little out of place, doesn't it? To you, the discoloration, like that potentially that could have been an area where they smooth stuff over.
They were talking about on the podcast too that I can't see it here, but the trees were planted more kind of in a row instead of sporadically. But I don't see what she was talking about.
Yeah, I don't quite either.
But let's get to one of the big
go
things
for
here. So when they got up there was a footing for a crane. Now, when you have a crane, you were going to lift something up. You got the two stabilizers on the side, and I guess what they were saying was that the ground was so silty and it couldn't hold anything that they had to pour these
the craft was so heavy, right? That they needed footings to lift it.
This is one of them still there.
Well, that's just weird.
And this is why it gives kind of credence to this whole story.
Yeah, right. What the heck? Why would somebody go up there and just pour concrete there?
So this is 1 meter by 1 meter by 9 inches thick. There's rebar in there.
Okay. Is there? I wonder if there's breaker underneath it or anything.
Allegedly, there was, I think 2 or 4. I think 2, but there's only 1 left up there. So it raises questions. Why do such a shitty job on cleanup and leave it there?
It also raises questions of why pour that there in the first place, Dan, right?
You're getting to a point because with Ramsey's investigation, one of the people said that was there for the oil rigs because to cap the hole after they were done. So what he did is he went up there, and I think you can kind of, maybe see it or not, but he drilled a core sample out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it would have been oil backed up with it, he would have got a hell of a pressure release there.
Well, I would have think that you would have seen the original hole.
One of the most interesting things, I think. So then we got to go back and talk about some of the witnesses, which helps this case. We got police officers that talked about it, retired Air Force officer. So he said he wasn't at the site, but he did personnel reports with people that were involved. He was based at Walker Field. He claimed in his interview that concrete footers had to be poured due to an access road that had to be cut was silty and would not support any heavy crane leg that was to be used to lift.
Interesting, because you think about sand and desert being pretty hard and compact, right?
If you think of sand, though, it's kind of squishy.
Yeah, some can be. Yeah, it depends. But yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't buy that. That's necessarily a capped oil hole. You'd think you'd see other remnants.
To me, that's the most interesting thing out of this whole case. Again, other witnesses. Again, we're talking about the oil riggers that had interviews. Yeah, the minister who blabbed a lot about this. He wasn't supposed to, but he did.
Well, yeah, because he's governed by a higher authority than the U.S. government.
And Fred Reed, he did the cleanup, and he thought it was actually a plane crash, but he later found out that it was a UFO crash. He was assigned to clean up the garbage, like the cigarette butts, all that stuff, wrappers that they left behind when they were working there for 2 weeks.
Boy, oh boy, I bet you he would have found some nice little trinkets that they missed. You know what I'm saying?
Back to that first.
And why would you bother cleaning it up, I wonder?
Back to that first graphic. I want to talk about this because this is really interesting on how this worked. This UFO split into 3 pieces. Apparently, they just either found a button or it actually just came apart smoothly like this.
Like in perfect thirds?
Yeah, it's 3 parts, and you got the middle dome part that they all.
Well, think about it. For manufacturing purposes, that's a pretty efficient way to do it because you have one machine to make a third of each of the disc, and you just bolt it together.
Yeah,
basically.
But if you're thinking about aliens, wouldn't you just print it whole? You know,
now that we've got, yeah, right. Now that we're looking at technology that we have, you'd think aliens have much better technology where they just have a machine, they hit a button, it grabs the carbon from the air that's floating around and makes the
guess it's the Venetians. They probably weren't that great.
Well, where are they now, right?
So yeah, you got that. The thirds, throw it on the flatbed truck, lift it up there, use the pourings to do that, and voila, get the hell out of there. One person, I didn't have the picture, but there's a claim out there that they got a picture of the a structure, like a lifting structure for the, because remember,
like some sort of gantry or mobile crane unit or something,
like a part of a foundation that they built to move it over. Let's watch this video.
Go for it, man.
From the derelict epistle.
The derelict epistle.
I want to give him credit here. He went out there. This is an older video. It was actually uploaded in 2010.
Good for him.
But you can tell it's 4x3. Kind of doing his own investigation thing. He knows a lot about it. So
Venus.
Oh, he's out there on
The military arrived that afternoon, and they secured the area in a 2-mile radius around this supposed crash site.
Ooh.
To recover the flying saucer, they built this secret road that comes up here to this concrete slab. They built this as a footing for a large crane to pick up the flying saucer, which was about 200 yards that way.
it's dramatic pan shot.
This is the supposed crash site. And when the military got out here,
there's the alien
investigated
head.
this craft, they found that it was 99.99 feet wide. Not 100 feet, 99.99. And there was no bolts or rivets of any kind in it. But the Venusians did have portholes in it so they could see into outer space when they were traveling here. One of these portholes was cracked, so the military broke the rest of it out, reached inside, and luckily found a knob.
Okay.
And they turned that knob, and it opened a secret door that let them into the spacecraft.
Your version of the story.
Yeah.
Inside the
So he said it was broke already.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, and which would make sense that if it was already broke, you could remember when I said, "Hey, if you're trying to put a pike pole through this stuff." Interesting though that they'd put a footing for a crane to pick up an object 200 yards away. That's 600 feet.
And
that is a long ways for a crane to need a footing.
So
2 football fields.
2 football fields.
That's an awful long ways for a footing.
I would
to pick
like
up
to
a
think
crane.
about. Yeah, but I was talking about that structure, and they might have built another metal thing to lift it up there and bring it back over to the road. But maybe it was so bad that it doesn't look that bad there that they could have just made the road go through there. But
yeah, right. And think of a football stadium, Dan. You ever been to a football stadium?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been to a baseball stadium?
No.
Oh my God.
I've been outside of one, I guess, driving on the highway.
So a football stadium is pretty big, right? And a football field is 100 yards. So double that. Think of the size of that crane I personally can't picture a crane that I know of that would reach that. I mean, that is a huge. That would take up the whole skyline.
The crane was used to put it on the truck.
Yeah.
So you could still park something down there with wheels.
Drag it over
yeah,
to
you
the
could
crane.
drag it over. You could do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
They found 14 to 16 humanoid bodies that were charred to a dark brown. They were 36 to 42 inches tall, and there's two versions of what they physically looked like. Either they looked exactly like humans, only they had perfect teeth, or they had no blood, but instead had a fluid inside of them that smelled like ozone, and they were gray, had no digestive tracts, but they still had perfect teeth.
That's weird.
Now, this flying saucer was made of metal that couldn't be cut with a 10,000 degree cutting torch. And it had no rivets, no seams in it. But still, the military somehow managed to cut an 18-foot control cabin out of it. And they looked inside of this control cabin, and there were push buttons and levers and that sort of thing. And it was written in some kind of hieroglyphics. They also found a control manual, basically in a book form, coated with plastic, that was also written in these hieroglyphics.
All right, we'll stop there.
Okay. You lost me with push buttons and levers, man.
Well, we got to think about the language back then too, like,
and how they would describe something that they didn't understand.
Saw a thing, you say, oh, there's a thing with lights on. Oh, those push buttons over there.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. But if it's truly push buttons and lever, I kind of, Okay. Interesting. I'm intrigued thus far, though, Dan. I know I seem to sit here and poo-poo at every chance I get, but I'm very intrigued by this.
Okay, we'll look at the this. Okay, this is on the FBI's website. This is a memo from.
Oh, this is what I kind of wanted to see.
Sky Hotel to the director, J. Edgar Hoover. It slipped my mind for a while.
3.
It says, okay, an investigation for Air Forces stated that the 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico.
This is 1950, okay, so 2 years later.
They were described as being circular in shape with raised centers, approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic clothing of very fine texture. Each body was bandaged in a manner similar to the blackout suits used by speed flyer and that pilots.
Okay. So is this referring to this crash or
that's the
Roswell
thing.
crash?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people think that this is proof that this is part of this crash, and it's not. It's really generalized.
Well, and I don't really care, man. Look at this document. An investigator for the Air Force said they found 3 flying saucers, man. I don't care if this happened in Canada or Timbuktu. That's crazy, man.
There's a rumor that this was actually, they got some of this, I think this was to throw people off, that they just got this from the hoax part of the people from the papers.
Like somebody even way back then made this up to make it look official. I'm
not saying the document's not official, but like if an FBI has to do an investigation on something, you're going to draw paperwork. So if somebody's claim, oh, there's UFOs over there, or a sheriff says that, and then they have to investigate, that's going to draw paperwork.
Yeah, but the Air Force investigator said that 3 saucers were recovered.
Right, but they're saying that investigator. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just telling you the spin.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh, but man, if this is a real document.
This document's real. It's on the FBI website.
Is it?
Yeah, it's right here on it's vault.fbi.gov. And it's on there.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I don't care what crash they were talking about. Stated An investigator for the Air Force stated that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. That is not saying that this FBI investigator said that the locals said this happened or that allegedly this happened. He said it happened.
Right. I had this. What's interesting is this is
all happening.
That's right. It's all happening. What's interesting is this is actually on the CIA website here. They got UFOs, fact or fiction, and they got all this stuff you can go through. I mean, but to have that even on the CIA website and stuff, not that the CIA is great or anything, but and these are documents
Go back to the original. Okay. Is that top 5 CIA documents for skeptics? This is not the CIA website.
This is CIA, yes. It's CIA.gov. And
why would the CIA have documents for skeptics out there or for believers?
Yeah, you're saying the way it's worded. Why have two separate
that
columns?
seems
I think
way,
this could be
that
part.
seems way too like. Are we sure? Is it the CIA?
Okay, post is April 1st, 2020.
Oh, there you go.
So this is probably part of the initiative to start disclosing this.
No, you know what April 1st is?
April Fools. You don't think the CIA would purposely put April Fools on their website, though?
Click on the tips for investigating flying saucers.
Establish a group. Determine the objectives. Consult with experts. That's pretty good tips.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know.
Or is this being on there? Is that how they cover their tracks? Though,
right? Yeah. You put it on plain sight. Put April 1st on there. I don't know. Anytime you see the April 1st date,
I know what you're saying, but I can't see an official government website doing that.
NASA did, wasn't it? Or the Army did with the teleportation.
Yeah,
one.
It was the Army, wasn't it? Yeah, we did that one. Yeah, whatever. I guess it's this is why it's so hard to figure anything out because of this crap.
Thing, to your point though, they put this out there on April Fools. They give you all the information you need.
Was this April Fools in 1950 when they did this memorandum? When was this?
No, March 22nd.
Okay, we got that.
So 8 days before, 9 days before. Wait, 9 days.
All right.
Oh my God, that's interesting, Dan. And that whole April 1 thing, and I'm gonna totally check out that website and look into it. The CIA one. I don't care April 1st or not. But we're gonna look at it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Again, if you have a topic suggestion, please put it down in the description below.
Wild women.
We can get our database back up, kind of running a little low here. If you want to call us and leave a voicemail, really simple. Pick up the phone, dial 1-256-510-5234, 1-256-510-K2D4, and you can say anything. We'll play it.
The wild women.
You could say we suck, I suppose. I'd play it for fun, I guess.
Yeah. We've had our certain, certainly our share of detractors. So.
Oh, hell no.
Oh wait, you got a thing over there too. I thought I was the one in all control.
I just bypassed you.
Oh well, that Dan is the master, so I'll take that.
All right, later, guys.
Talk is cheap.